I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, shield my greed. That's how I get it, success ain't no giving. Some days I don't hit, I don't slay. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous, down, wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank, I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze, the roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag, I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag, I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket, Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit, nose diving in the house. And woo, watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead, watch how I get ahead. Woo.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC 281. We have Israel Adesanya going against Alex Pereira, and we have a banger on our hands. We have 14 fights on this card, and I'm looking forward to every single one of them, which is a relief. I mean, the last 2 weeks, they've been winning weeks in terms of the bets, but, cards were, I'm researching some of these fights. I'm like, Josh Parisian, Chase Sherman, which luckily it fell off, and, other fights like Tamara's Vidal, Ramona Pascual. It's just a relief to go out there and just, research such a good card, talk about such a good card all week. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this card. I have a ton of bets, not like in terms of like unit sizes. I think it's a lot of small bets for me, but I have a ton of like prop sprinkles, a ton of plus money spots. I have 15 bets on the line. So just lots to talk about. Some fighters that missed weight as well. We'll talk about all of that. But yeah, guys, before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video. One small like, it does go a long way. Like I always say, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And I do want to shout out the sponsor of the show. And shout out to Verdict. I'm sure the majority of you guys have heard of Verdict MMA, but have you heard of Verdict tournaments? Verdict is built for MMA and is based on the fight outcome. You don't have to worry about how many strikes are landed or how many takedowns a fighter gets. You pick the winner, the method, and the round. Compete against others to win cash prizes, and you can enter up until the start of the co-main event. Download the Verdict app, go to tournaments, and try it out. This is a brand new look at daily fantasy sports and is built for MMA fans. And for UFC 281, they do have some big contests. So go check out Verdict. Lots of great stuff going on over there. But yeah, guys, let's shout out the chat before we get started. First one in here is Carrillo. What is up, Carrillo? He's saying, Brady, 3 prize picks, por favor. So on the Draftkings show that me and the boys do on Wednesdays on Pub Sports, I did give out 3. And the 3 I gave out, I'm not sure how much these moved, but I did the Ottman Zaitar under 36.5 significant strikes. I just really struggled to see Matt Frivola taking 37 strikes on the chin. I went with over 89.5 fantasy score for Aaron Blanchfield. And then I went with the under 87.5 for Chris Gutierrez on the fantasy score. So those are the 3 I'm rocking with. F. Grillo, thank you for hanging out. We got Propaholic in the building. Let's go, Brady. Let's go, Propaholic. Nice to see you in here. We got Mushroom in the chat as well. One more sleep and one more mushroom lunch. Let's get it. We got Zach in the chat. Brady the GOAT. I ain't talking about Tom. I think Tom's the GOAT, but man, just having a rough year. But, how can we blame him? The guy's like 45 years old. Tony in the chat saying, what's up, Brady? Phenomenal card tomorrow night. Let's make some money. That is always the goal. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch as well. We got Josh in the chat saying, what's good, Brady? What is good, Josh? How are you doing? Tony saying, weird weigh-ins today. It seems like a third of the fighters used the box of shame. Yeah, they did. Immediately and ended up making weight easily. Scale was light, maybe. I'm not sure what was going on there. But, yeah, a couple guys did end up missing weight, though. And there was like 4 or 5 fighters towards the end where they had like 10 minutes to weigh in, and all 5 of them or 4 of them were able to weigh in. And I think 2 of them missed weight. I think it was Span, and it was, who was the other guy? It was Span and, Span, it's on the tip of my, who the heck was it? Span and Trizano. Mike Trizano missed weight as well. Mushroom saying, Nega Mariano, 3rd round or decision. We'll talk about that fight. So thoughts, are we going to have a new middleweight champion tomorrow? We'll have to wait for that one. One more sleep. Yes, sir. We got Kalu in the chat saying, let's cash it. Let's cash it. Lucid saying, way too many bets on this card. Hard not to after the last 2 weeks. Thank you for the breakdowns. Yeah, the last 2 weeks I've had, I think, like 5 units, 6 units on each card. This week it's like 11. Not the biggest card in the world, but I do have 15 bets. I have a lot of prop sprinkles, though. We got Clint. We got the Die-Hard MMA podcast. And what did you say earlier, Clint, on your breakdown? It's a hard nut to swallow, something like that. But a great breakdown, Clint. That gave me a laugh. We got Michael in the chat saying, what's up, Brady? Can't wait for this one. Let's go, Michael. We got Jordan saying, biggest bet of your life on Zhang Weili. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are going the other way and taking Esparza, but I'm with you. I do like Zhang Weili. Not going to be laying the minus 300 price tag, but I do think she finishes Carla Esparza. We got Vicky saying, Brady, always on point. Good luck, bro. Good luck to you as well. We got Spencer in the chat as well. We got Daz in the chat as well. Always nice to see Daz. We got John. We got Sean. Anthony saying, stoked for tomorrow night. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And am I the only person who thinks Molly McCann wins? She was pretty much working full time before to support her MMA career. I don't think you're the only one. There's actually a couple people I see on Molly McCann, but we'll talk about it. I mean, I think she could potentially win. It's just she's got a lot going against her in this matchup, I think. See if I missed anything here. I got you. Trust me, it's happened to me before. I've said some things before that did not sound the best, but that was funny. We got Hagbard as well. Oh my gosh, NHJ. I got Gomez in the Big Mommy Milkers title fight. There you go. All right. Let's get into it. After that, I say we get into it. Okay. We will start with the first fight on the card, and we have Carlos Olberg going against Nikolai Negumereanu, and this one's a weird one to me. I feel like this should be Olberg winning this fight, but, Nikolai Negumereanu, he has a couple things that I think are going to benefit him. The first thing is that the next level durability, that toughness. This guy's striking defense is horrible. And I kind of want to show you guys the percentage because it's pretty hilarious. It's like, 39%. Striking defense. Just to put that in perspective, Priscilla Catch a Beating, who's known for catching beatings, her striking defense is, let me look it up actually. I'm gonna guess like 44%, something like that. Let's see. Priscilla Cachoeira's striking defense is 46%. Negumereanu's is 39%. If you have a worse striking defense than Priscilla Catch a Beating, who's known for just taking a beating, I mean, that's something is wrong. So at range, this is Carlos Olberg all day, every day. But, Olberg, we have seen him slow down before. We have seen him knocked out, whereas Negumereanu, he doesn't slow down. He has good cardio. He's never been knocked out. The guy's tough as nails. And on top of that, what happens if Negumereanu wrestles here? I went back and watched all the tape I could on Olberg. I just did not see enough evidence of his takedown defense, his get-up game. What's he like off his back? I just don't know. So I think he should be able to stuff takedowns here. I don't think Negumereanu is the greatest wrestler in the world, but what happens if he does take down, Carlos Olberg? So there's just enough question marks in this fight for me to just pass. As far as a pick, I'm going to pick Carlos Olberg to get the win. I think at range, it's Olberg by a mile. I mean, this is a guy, Negumereanu, who's blocking punches with his face. Worst striking defense I've ever seen in my life. It's atrocious, but he's tough. He can eat shots, and he's going to be there for 15 minutes. The one spot I was kind of looking at was the over 1.5 rounds. I think I saw it at like minus 145, but even then, it's like not something I'm really running to the window for. So I'm going to pass on the first fight of the card. But the picks Olberg, just not a ton of confidence, enough confidence to bet him there. From a DraftKings perspective, not in love with this fight, honestly, but it is the first fight of the night. I have a little bit, but not going crazy on it. But yeah, give me Olberg with not a ton of confidence. All right. Mushroom saying Easter Island head. Yeah, the guy's head is it's huge. It is huge. Probaholic saying Olberg money line, minus 120. He's the way better striker at range. Oh, yeah, by a mile. Now he has the experience of going 15 minutes. That is true. Yeah, I think he should win. It just something scare me in this matchup. Mushroom on the other side, they're going Negumereanu, third round or decision. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens when this fight does get into the third round. Because Negumereanu, I think he'll still be there. We got Monk in the chat. What is up, Monk? How are you doing? Monk was on the show with me on Wednesday for the DraftKings show. Always a fun time with him. Hogbart saying, I was leaning Nega Mariano as a dog to tire out Olberg with pressure, but it's the big cage. Yeah, and that's kind of what Kennedy Nzechukwu did. He kind of tired out Olberg by eating punches to the face. And hey, that could happen here because Nega Mariano is going to get hit in the face a ton. Olberg by decision is the best line. I feel Nikolai is tough as hell. Yeah, he's so tough. Olberg by decision plus 215. Taking Olberg over the walking heavy bag. Yeah, and he's just that. We got Smoothie in the chat. What is up? But yeah, guys, let's move on. We have Montel Jackson going against Julio Arce. This is one of those fights where I like Montel Jackson to win. It's just the line is just a little too wide for me. I think Jackson's going to have a lot of advantages here. The one that sticks out the most is probably that tail of the tape advantage. He's going to not only be younger, but much bigger. Height advantage, reach advantage. If you guys saw the ceremonial weigh-ins, Jackson was much bigger than Julio Arce. Like, this guy is ginormous for bantamweight. And then on top of that, he's going to have a power advantage. His power at bantamweight is unreal. Like 10 knockdowns in like 8 or 9 fights from Montel Jackson, which is just, it's ridiculous. Julio Arce only has 1 knockdown in like 7, 8, 9 fights. So the power advantage is in favor of Montel Jackson. The tail of the tape advantage is in favor of Montel Jackson. And on top of that, the wrestling advantage. Montel Jackson's a very good wrestler. I'm going to show you guys this. He's completing takedowns at a 78% clip. And of course, he's not fighting the best competition. He wins over Jesse Strader as of late, wins over JP Vlismas, but, still 78% takedown accuracy, taking down his opponents, 4 times per 15 minutes. And the thing with Julio Arce, you see that 94% takedown defense there, but once you look into it a little bit more, you see that nobody's really trying to take him down outside of Dan Ige, who did go like 1 for 13. So I feel like, Jackson's going to hit harder on the feet. I feel like he can mix in some takedowns, but, Arce, he's a good fighter. Arce does have that 94% takedown defense. He has a 69% striking defense. He's a really good fighter. If he's able to keep this standing, it's going to look very, very close. But I still think the harder shots are going to be coming from Montel Jackson. So I'm going to pick Jackson to win, but I'm not in love with the minus 200. And I see a lot of people taking the shot on Arce. I don't hate it, but there's just a lot of things I do like on the Montel Jackson side. Do not pick him here. So give me Jackson to win. No props really sticking out. And on DraftKings, he has scored very well. And somebody brought that up to my attention this week because I didn't really talk about him from a DraftKings perspective. But, he's scoring really well against Felipe Calorish. He's scoring really well against Jesse Strader. He's scoring really well against JP Vlismas. So, again, not the best competition in the world. So a fight that I'm not in love with really from a DraftKings perspective. I think there's much better plays up in that 9,000 range. Let's see. Jackson wins by decision or Arce TKOs Jackson. I'd be a little surprised if Arce TKO'd Jackson, to be honest. Jackson by sub plus 1,000. I think he gets to Darce or either a rear naked choke. Yes, he does have a submission win in the UFC where he did club and sub Brian Kelleher. So maybe he does that to Arce there. Why is nobody hitting the like? Yeah, guys, hit the like button. We have 150 in here. Let us get those likes up. Would appreciate that a ton. Let's go Montel. I'm gonna stay away from this fight. Yeah, I don't have a bet on it. Loved watching Arce's tape, but then I saw Jackson's. Yeah, Jackson's look good. JP Vlismas. That is true. Jordan saying that is a tough nut to swallow. It absolutely is. All right. Let us keep moving on. All right. We have Sungwoo Choi going against Mike Trizano. And it's kind of weird, guys. I have 15 bets, but no bets on the first 3 fights. But this is one where I was kind of tempted to pull the trigger on Sungwoo Choi. I was really tempted to do it. There are some things that kind of scare me away, though. The first thing that potentially scared me away was Sungwoo Choi's hair in his last fight. He had that blonde hair, and you could tell he's not a natural blonde. But I watched the ceremonial weigh-ins. He is done with that blonde hair. He's back to his normal hair color, which I love in this matchup. In all seriousness, there are some things I really don't like, though. Sungwoo Choi has a 37% striking accuracy. He's missing a lot, in a lot of his fights, in all of his fights, really. He's doing a lot of missing, and he does hit hard when he lands. And then his striking defense, 45%. So he's eating a lot of shots as well. So those things kind of scared me off. And another thing that scared me off is I thought that Sung-Woo Choi had a very winnable matchup in his last fight against Josh Kulabau, just due to the fact that Josh Kulabau wasn't going to try to take him down. And you looked throughout the career of Sung-Woo Choi, and when he's losing, he's getting taken down, he's getting controlled, he's getting submitted. Josh Kulabau wasn't going to do that, and he didn't. He didn't. And he lost the fight. He got dropped twice. This is the kind of the same thing. Trizano is not going to shoot takedowns here. Trizano, I think, has attempted 3 takedowns in the UFC. Each fight, I'm always like, Trizano probably should wrestle here, but does he do it ever? No, he does not. He never wrestles, so I don't expect him to do here. But I feel like Sung-Woo Choi is the better striker. I think he hits much harder. Both guys kind of hittable, though. And at the end of the day, I feel like this could be competitive. If this does go to decision, I think it could be competitive. That's why I'm not in love with like the minus 175, minus 180. I did see a line on DraftKings Sportsbook that kind of tempts me, and it is the double chance there with the KO or decision for Choi, and it's minus 150. So you're getting a little bit better of a price tag there on DraftKings for that minus 150 double chance, knockout or decision. He's not submitting Trizano. Choi has 0 submissions on his record. It's not going to happen. So that's kind of how I would look at it, but that's another fight that kind of just weirds me out. I feel like I've counted out Trizano before. Remember, he was a big dog against Ludovic Klein. I thought it was a great match for Klein, and, Trizano made it close. So he has this habit of just making fights close sometimes. And this is a fight that I do think is going to play out on the feet. So I think I'm going to pass. But I do think Choi gets it done. But just not running to the window for it. I don't hate the shot on the Choi KO as well, like plus 290 I saw on Bet Rivers. But yeah, I think I'll just sit this one out, sit back and watch. Trizano sucks. Mike looked bad at weigh-ins. Yeah, he did miss weight by a decent amount, I believe, as well. He did not look the best. Picking Choi, but no bets on this fight. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Probaholic on that Trizano money line. I saw that. I took it on Sunday, but I know tons of people who are crapping on him. Yeah, and lots of monies came in on Choi. It looks like Choi is like minus 176, minus 180, I see. So Choi is very popular, especially after the weigh-ins. Yeah, I feel like Choi Trizano is a bit of a 1-800 gambler fight. Yeah, I can see it. Choi finish him. I think he could. The thing with Trizano, though, is he's typically very tough, but maybe he had a bad weight cut. We saw Almeida finish him, but yeah, Trizano's typically tough. I mean, the last time he got finished was against Almeida, and that was the only time he's been knocked out. Oh, we got Big Steve. What is up, Big Steve? The $5 dono. Appreciate you, Big Steve, a ton. It does go a long, long way. Appreciate that. Lamos by sub at plus 1100. You were close. You were close. I thought she was going to sub her at one point. I think it was in the second or third round. We got Dev in the chat. What is up, Dev? How are you doing? Don't want either of these guys fighting for my money. I'm kind of with you as well. Dev bringing the locks. Always bring the locks, Dev. I know you like those locks, but yeah, nothing's a lock in MMA. Nothing is a lock in MMA. Anything can happen. All right, let's get to some action, guys. No bets for me on the first 3 fights in the night, but guess what? I have a bet on every single fight from here on out, so it's about to get fun. Karolina Kowalkiewicz going against Silvana Gomez Juarez, and Juarez has some cannons in her fist. She has some absolute cannons in her fist. I mean, she hits very, very hard for a strawweight, and it's kind of weird. I am taking the shot on Juarez to win by knockout, and I got it at plus 340. The line has came down a little bit. It's still plus 300. I have a quarter unit on that. The reason being is because, again, she has those cannons in her fist, and she hits very, very hard. And I know it's weird. It's a strawweight fight, but we did see 2 strawweights go out there. We did see 2 strawweights go out there in the last week, right? Pauliana Viana out of nowhere just knocked out Ginny Fry. And then Amanda Lambush, of course, having a ton of power, right? Like these strawweights, like they can hit hard, especially Gomez Juarez. She has some cannons in her fists. She hits hard. We saw her knock down Vanessa Demopoulos, almost knock her out. She did get armbar from guard. And then we saw her knock out my girl, Liang Na, in the first round as well. Like she hits hard for a strawweight. And I think if she wins the fight, it's going to be by knockout. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, and we can look at it here. She is very hittable. Like this is a concerning number to me. Karolina Kowalkiewicz absorbing 5.59 significant strikes per minute. And I know a lot of people are like, Carolina should grapple, and I agree she should grapple. But you look through her career, and Carolina Kowalkiewicz only has 2 takedowns landed, which is a huge concern considering she's been in the UFC for like 8 years. So I don't expect her to grapple. Should she? Yes, but I don't expect it. I think they're going to stand and strike, and when they do, Carolina Kowalkiewicz could potentially run into one of those cannons in the fists of Silvana Gomez Juarez. Like, she hits like a truck for a strawweight. So I am taking the shot on the knockout prop for Gomez Juarez plus 340, just a quarter unit. I don't want to be too exposed on a violence prop on a strawweight fight, but she's not seen the second round in the UFC out of 3 fights. I see some people taking the shot on the unders. The fight doesn't go. I don't hate it. I'm just personally on the Gomez Juarez side. I think she knocks out Carolina. Could Carolina sub her potentially? I just don't think she's going to go to that. She should, but I don't think she's going to go to it. So give me Gomez Juarez. I like her on DraftKings 8,000. I think she has knockout upside, and I'm also on a quarter unit sprinkle of that knockout prop. I think she has a solid chance to find a knockout. I think she's going to hit Carolina a lot, and like I said, she hits very hard. Jordan's saying absolute cannons. Adam's saying cannons. Bub's saying, oh, yeah, she got cannon. Yeah, she has those cannons in her fist. Like, she hits very, very hard. Yeah, I saw that as well, probably. I think was that the one clip you posted on Twitter? Yeah, she went out there and destroyed somebody. Silvana Gomez Juarez, my underdog lock of the week. Is she still an underdog? It looks like it's about to pick him now. Minus 106 looks like the best price you can get on Gomez Juarez. Fight doesn't go to decision. I don't hate that look. Okay. Dev's saying the under. I don't hate it. Cannons in her fist, absolutely. Like, she hits very hard. And Verse saying she does hit hard. She does. She really does. All right. Enough of that. Let us move on. And speaking of cannons, Ottman Zaitar. Talk about cannons. This guy hits like an absolute truck, and I can't wait for this fight. This is my favorite fight on the prelims. So the money line has been getting steamed on the Zaitar side, which is interesting. He is now minus 150. And I do have another bet on this fight. Another sprinkle that stuck out to me on this fight was Ottman Zaitar to win in the very first round. I got it at plus 335. It has been bet a little bit. Let me see where it's at now. First round, like plus 280 on FanDuel. Like, I think that's how he wins. I see this fight playing out one of 2 ways, and I think it all comes down to Matt Frivola, and that is, does Matt Frivola want to go out there and fight smart and take down Ottman Zaitar, kind of like he did against Jalen Turner? Great performance there against a dangerous guy, and then Luis Pena, he went out there and wrestled a bit. Or is Matt Frivola going to go out there in his hometown, go out there and stand and bang with Ottman Zaitar, put on a fight of the night type performance, kind of like he did in the Venata fight where he got dropped twice, in the Marco Polo Reyes fight where he got dropped twice and knocked out, in the Terrence McKinney fight where he got knocked out in 7 seconds. So it really comes down to Matt Frivola and what route he chooses to take. Of course, he was on Twitter this week, and I saw he said that he's going to stand in the pocket and trade with Ottman Zaitar, which leads me to believe he's going to try to go out there and wrestle. But if for some reason he does go out there and try to stand in the pocket and trade with Zaitar, I think he gets knocked out brutally. So I did take a quarter unit shot on that Ottman by first round. I didn't go with knockout or sub just because the prices were about the same. I think there was like a 5-cent difference. So I just took the first round. And I think if he wins, it's in the first round. And I can kind of bring it up. Ottman Zaitar. I think he has like 8 or 9 first round finishes. So to get like the first round prop at like around my plus 300 is kind of weird to me. So at first of his 2 of his UFC wins were in the first round. Kama Worthy and Timu Pakalin. Another first round that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this dude has 10 first round finishes out of 13 wins. And that's kind of how I play him. I wouldn't lay the money line because I think Frivola does have a path to victory. I just have this feeling that he's going to stand and strike. And at some point, he's going to have to strike with Zaitar. And I don't think it's going to end very well. I don't think Frivola has the best chin. And Zaitar has some absolute cannons in his fist. Yep, Potato Man is back. Dylan saying knockout of the year. Probaholic saying fight doesn't go parlay, but Chandler fight doesn't go -109. I do think both of these finish. Zaitar will hit him with the bag of potatoes. Yeah, that is definitely in play. Expecting Frivola to wrestle, but it is a tough nut to swallow. Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, he should, but is he going to do it? I don't know. Under 1.5 still there at plus money. I think if you like the under, you probably like Ottman. Could Frivola finish? I kind of think if Frivola finishes, it's like late in the fight. Frivola looked to have a limp. To me, I could be wrong. I didn't see it personally. I'm not sure if he did. People might be underestimating potential improvements Ottman could have made in wrestling and cardio. He's training with better people now. Yes, he is. He's training with some very good guys. And 2 years off, we could see some improvements for sure. In his fist, I like it. Yeah, I don't hate it. The only problem is I think it's like -150. So you are laying some chalk there. Did Jared Vandera just get cut for real? Dang. Well, next week we get to talk about Chase Sherman, so that should be fun. But that sucks for Jared. I thought he put on a solid performance his last time out. Okay. Peter, is DK and Barstool only books who do decision only? Bet Rivers does decision only. I haven't been on Barstool. I have to check them out, but I know DK does it, and then I know for sure Bet Rivers does it. And poor Vandera, I agree. All right, 200 of you hanging here on a Friday. If you guys have not already, be sure to like the video. Also, subscribe to the channel. And by the way, I will be going live 2 hours prior to the prelims tomorrow, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and I will have a full panel for Best Bet 2-hour special for a great card. So make sure you guys are subscribed to not miss out on that. Next, we have Andre Petroski going against Wellington Turman. Like, honestly, this could probably be the 1-800-gambler fight of the card, but I did it. I took a half-unit shot on Wellington Turman. And this line just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And by the way, I got it at plus 180. So the line actually has came in on Turman a little bit. Let me refresh to see where it's at. It looks like Turman is around like plus 165. Yeah, plus 165. And I see plus 170 out there. So the reason I took a shot on Turman, I know everybody's going to say Turman sucks, and I can't argue that too much. But I'm just still not sold on Petroski. I'm just not sold on the guy at all. You know, this is a guy that he's fighting the worst competition I've ever seen in my life. And he's going out there and he's getting tired in the first round. He's looking so tired in the first round against, you know, guys like Zhang Hu, guys like Michael Gilmore. And he's able to push through it, and props to him for that. But these guys are just providing no resistance. Zhang Hu is the worst fighter in UFC history. And nobody can tell me otherwise. I mean, there is not another fighter that is worse than Zhang Hu to ever step foot in the UFC. Maybe CM Punk. But Zhang Hu, the guy went 0-3 in the UFC. He's 3-3 in MMA. I mean, the guy's awful. And yes, Petroski was able to push through him being tired because Zhang Hu was providing no resistance. Same thing with Gilmore. Gilmore was providing no resistance. Gilmore's 6-5 in MMA. Gilmore's been submitted like 5 times, like in all of his losses. He's been subbed, like, I don't know. And it's taking Petroski like 14 minutes to finish these guys. He's taking 14 minutes to finish Zhang Hu and Michael Gilmore. You know, if he's taken that long to finish, is he going to finish Wellington Turman, who's a black belt, you know, training with Glover Teixeira, you know, young guy making these improvements? And, you know, I take a look at the matchup, and I think Turman has a lot of advantages here. I think he's the better striker. I think he has the better cardio. I think he's fought the better competition. I think he has the better wins. I think he has the better losses. It's just we're getting a line like this because for a couple reasons. People think Turman sucks, and like I said, I can't argue that too much. I bet Sam Alvey against Wellington Turman, so that just shows what I think of Turman. But Petroski was a plus like 350 dog in his last fight. It's like plus 300 against Nick Maximov, who, by the way, has been cut. I just think there's a big correction to this line, and I think it should be much, much closer. I think Petroski could potentially knock out Turman, I suppose, but he didn't knock out Zhang Hu. So I don't know. I mean, I took the dog shot on Turman. I think it's going to get interesting as the fight goes on. I think Turman's going to provide some resistance. He has a black belt in BJJ. I feel like he can hold his own in the grappling. I feel like his cardio is going to be better, and I feel like the striking is going to be better. So give me the half unit dog shot on Turman, plus 180. We'll see what happens. If you like Petroski, I would say like the knockout prop could be something to look at, but it's only plus 240. I would think you'd get a little bit better of a price than that. But give me Turman for the dog pick here. All right. I see that determines a bum. I get it. Don't lay minus 200 on Petro. Yeah, the line just doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. That bum, Zhang who? Yeah, not a big fan of that guy. 2 hours, best bets. That's madness. Banter better be on point. Yeah, with some good guys coming on tomorrow. We got Luke coming on from Sparring with Reality. We got Lou Betcha coming on. We got Eric coming on as well. Should be a really good panel. Is Michael Gilmore a bum? Oh yeah. Turman has horrible fight IQ. Can I have any examples on that? Horrible fight IQ. I don't know. Petroski Turman, a dog or pass for me. Don't hate the ends and sub plus 175 or Turman sub sprinkle. Yet I know a lot of people taking a shot on like that Turman round 3 is, and I think that's interesting. Andre easy sub. Man. I mean, wow. It took him 14 minutes and 50 seconds to submit Zhang. You think he's going to submit a black belt in Turman easy? Okay. Mike Jackson, close. Mike Jackson has 2 wins in the UFC. I don't know. One was against CM Punk and the other was a DQ win, but more wins than Zhang who will ever have. You might be on to something with Turman here. I just think it's going to be close. Closer than the line does indicate. On to roll. There you go. Then lay minus 210 on him. Easy win. Brady the Turman Whisperer. Not really. Turman has always been average to me. Yeah. He's on a nice streak, but only a matter of time before he gets folded. And Petroski definitely has the power. He has the power, just doesn't really have the striking. Turman will be in the retirement circle. What? He's only like 25, 26. What are you talking about? Wellington weird nipples Turman? I'm gonna say finish, but I would not bet the fight doesn't go. It's just too juiced for my liking. It's like minus 190. And again, it took Petroski like a terrifying amount of time to finish Gilmore and Yazonghu. So I wouldn't be too confident in the finish here. And then SK saying you doing a SIG kickboxing parlay? No, I think one loses, and we'll talk about the one. I guess it could be in play, but we'll talk about the one I don't really like. And then Wellington is a bit of a turd. Yep, that is the narrative. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have Aaron Blanchfield going against Molly McCann. Blanchfield minus 400. McCann is plus 300. And yeah, I do have a bet here. And I took a half unit shot on the fight doesn't go to decision for a couple reasons. So I personally think this is Aaron Blanchfield all day. I think it's a horrible matchup for Molly McCann. I'm shocked she took this fight. She's starting to build up all this hype, and that's great. And then she's running into a very tough matchup here against Aaron Blanchfield. I went back and watched the Laura Procopio fight, and Procopio went out there and just completely ragdolled Molly, and that was like a year ago. Not a good look. 8 takedowns, like 13 minutes of control. It's a terrible look. So I think Aaron Blanchfield is going to have a good chance to get takedowns here, get on top, and finish the fight, whether it's a TKO or whether it's a submission. I think both are live. Blanchfield was very close to finishing Miranda Maverick multiple times. She had that crucifix, and then she also got really close to an armbar as well. Molly McCann has been submitted in the UFC by a black belt. Blanchfield being a black belt, I think the finish is live for Blanchfield. But the reason I took the fight doesn't go instead of the Blanchfield inside the distance, for one, there's not much of a difference in the price. And for two, Molly McCann, she's been coming into these last couple fights just coked up. Just extremely coked up. Like and we saw it at the ceremonial weigh-ins as well. She is coked up. You can clearly see it. And she's going out there and fighting like she's completely coked up and just fighting like a maniac, and that could be the case here. I think this is going to be a very fast-paced fight on the feet. Like, if McCann's able to keep it on the feet, like, she could potentially knock out Blanchfield. I think McCann does have the striking advantage, but the reason Blanchfield is such a big favorite, even though Molly McCann has a ton of hype, is because it's an awful matchup. I mean, it's a horrible matchup for Molly McCann. But like I said, if she's able to somehow keep the fight standing, or if Blanchfield for some reason pulls a loopy Godinez, a ludicrous Godinez, and it goes out there with a bad game plan and doesn't try to take down Molly McCann, yeah, then Molly McCann might get a knockout. So I think the fight doesn't go, kind of covers both sides. I put a half a unit on it at plus 140. I think both fighters will have plenty of opportunities to finish, honestly. So don't hate a shot there. That's kind of how I'm playing it. I hope she didn't say that. She wants to submit Aaron. I would not try that. What is the BJJ belt colored? I believe Blanchfield's a black belt, and then I think that Molly McCann is I want to say either a blue belt or a purple belt. I'm not completely sure. How many spinning attacks Molly going to throw? A ton. While it is on the feet, I just don't know if it's going to be on the feet for long. JJ Aldrich almost KO'd Blanchfield. Molly's not that good. No faith in Molly winning this matchup. Yeah, me either. Dev saying the Aaron by sub. I'm picking sub as well. Philip, Molly McCann by finish plus 750. McCann is on the. She's absolutely on the powder. Yep, she's a coked up meatball. Sure. And is drinking her own Kool-Aid versus bums. Yeah, and that's another thing that needs to be talked about. I mean, just the level of competition for Molly McCann as of late has just been. They're easy matchups. Luana Carolina, easy matchup. Hannah Goldie, very easy matchup. I mean, Aaron Blanchfield just a big difference in competition. That's why I'm kind of shocked that she took the fight. Molly 30-26 UD. I don't know. Yeah, I think he's joking. Meatball all day. What's up, Zayat? How you doing? But yeah, taking a half unit shot on the violence, hoping somebody gets finished, whether it is a Blanchfield TKO sub or whether it is Molly McCann getting that knockout. Because she, like I said, she's going to be coked up. She's going to be going crazy. And you never know what happens. So we'll see. Okay, moving on. Moving on. We have Dominic Reyes going against Ryan Spann. And we have Ryan Spann like minus 220, or Dominic Reyes minus 220, Ryan Spann plus 185. So this is a fight where I'm pretty confident in Dominic Reyes, but there are some red flags. The first red flag being the 1.5 layoff, and maybe it's a good thing because he did get knocked out brutally against Jiri Prochazka. The second red flag, I do kind of question the motivation at this point for Dominic Reyes. It's been a while since he's won a fight. It's been like since 2019. Since he's won a fight. But I just look at the matchup and I see it's a very favorable matchup for Dominic Reyes. I think he's a much better striker by a mile. Ryan Spann was out there losing striking exchanges to Sam Alvey. He was getting dropped multiple times by Anthony Smith. I mean, this should be Dominic Reyes all day on the feet. But I just can't really lay that price tag. This is a light heavyweight fight. Ryan Spann is very, very dangerous. But, I think Dominic Reyes should win this fight. What I did do was I like violence here. I don't mind the under 1.5 rounds. Just the way Ryan Spann fights. And then I don't mind the fight doesn't go to decision as a parlay piece. I think on Bovada and was it Betway? Betway and Bovada still have the fight doesn't go at like minus 275, something like that. Let's see. Yeah, minus 275. I don't mind that as like a parlay piece. And I did parlay it personally. I have 1.5 units on this fight. Fight doesn't go to decision, ending inside the distance, parlayed with something next week for the Lewis Spivak card, and it's a parlay with Jack Della Maddalena, who I cannot wait to watch next week. So I have that parlay, Jack Della Maddalena, with the violence in this fight, 1.5 units, minus 150. I'm looking for violence here. Don't care who it is. Could Ryan Spann finish Reyes early? Maybe. But I think Reyes absolutely should win this fight. So give me Reyes for the win. I like Reyes on DraftKings, 9,300. Spann's not the worst pump play in the world at 6,900. But Reyes should be able to go out there and get it done. By the way, I forgot to talk about DraftKings on these last couple fights. But yeah, Blanchfield I like on DraftKings a lot, 9,500. Don't mind some shots on Turman at 7,000. And then Frivola, Zaitar, I have a ton of ownership on both sides, but mostly a Zaitar, especially at that price tag, is a favorite at 7,700. And then we talked about Juarez a little bit at 8,000. I like her. But yeah, this Frivola, Zaitar fight, I have a ton of ownership on. I think both guys have paths to scoring very well. But yeah, give me Dominic Reyes to get it done, and give me the violence as far as a parlay. Okay, Reyes needed the time off. He should cruise, absolutely. And did miss weight. He did not look great. He did not look great. Reyes inside the distance or under 1.5 span sucks. Yeah, I think it's in the first round, personally. Reyes' decision, he's going to be gun shy. He'll try to win and not finish. If he's gun shy, he probably gets knocked out. I mean, I think Ryan Span's going to make this a war. Reyes claimed Pereira KO. Dev getting a dom by decision. Span looked way shorter than Reyes and was very confident, couldn't look him in the eye. Span always does that. He never looks anybody in the eye. That's kind of his thing. Reyes first round KO. That's kind of how I'm leaning as well. First round, I think it should run through. I mean, Anthony Smith dropped this guy twice. Jack Della Maddalena is fighting one Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts. Uncle Weezy saying, love the under 1.5 here, 1 unit plus 100. What's up, everyone? What is up, Weezy? And I like that as well. If I can get it at plus 100, I'd probably bet that too. It's like minus 110 best price I see out there. But I have the fight doesn't go in a parlay. Reyes will pull through in the first or second. I'm kind of leaning first there. Melon saying a guillotine choke loss for Span, or for Span to get the guillotine. Brady, I feel like I already know the answer, but do you put any thought whatsoever into the body language of fighters when they go eye to eye, or is that just armchair psychology most of the time? I don't really look into it too much unless something like really sticks out, but typically don't look into that too much. Favorite plays under 7K on DraftKings. So I think there's a couple that I don't hate. Ryan Span, as far as like a pump play, I mean, it's a light heavyweight fight. Reyes does not want to fight in years. Frankie Edgar's, he's 7,100. I don't hate him for the takedown upside. Carla Esparza, if she wins, she scores well, 6,800. Those are kind of the fighters I'm looking at around that 7K range. What about Ottman for Frivola? Should I throw someone on? I just took a quarter-unit shot on the Ottman for first round prop. It was like plus 335, something like that. Has moved a little bit. I think it's like plus 280 now on FanDuel. That's kind of how I'm playing. And I think if he does win, it's in the first round. I mean, the guy at the end of the day has 10 first-round finishes. So to get it at like around plus 300 is kind of worth a shot, in my opinion. Okay, we'll keep moving on. We have Renato Moicano going against Brad Riddell. And I like violence in this fight quite a bit, and I have a couple bets on this fight. So the first bet is I have 1 unit on the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 120. That line is actually still there on Bovada, pretty sure. And then I also took a quarter unit shot on both the Moicano by sub at plus 450, which was a ridiculous line on BetOnline, and then also a quarter unit shot on Riddell by KO at plus 350. The reason I did that was because I think it's pretty simple. I think if Moicano wins, it's probably by submission. And if Riddell wins, it's probably by knockout. Brad Riddell, 50% finish rate, all 50% by knockout, no submissions. Moicano, 56% finish rate, all 56% by submission, no knockouts, right? So I don't mind a quarter unit shot on both guys and their path to victory. But yeah, both these guys get finished a ton. Brad Riddell finished in all 3 of his losses, 2 by submission. And then we have Renato Moicano finished in 4 of 5 of his losses, but it should be 5 out of 5 because I'm not sure how that fight wasn't stopped between RDA and him. I mean, it should have been stopped 20 times. So arguably, these guys have lost all their fights inside the distance. So, and both guys are dangerous. Moicano, I do question his chin. He is pretty hittable. Brad Riddell likes to get into these wars. He throws pretty hard. So I could see a Riddell knockout on the flip side. Moicano, very good striker in his own right. He has some power. I could see a club and sub. And if Moicano does go to the wrestling route, take this fight down to the mat, Moicano is a phenomenal grappler. And again, Brad Riddell has been submitted twice. So I'm more so leaning the Moicano by sub, but I like violence more than anything, especially like minus 120 for that fight doesn't go. I think the under's around even money as well. I think violence is probably the way to go on this one. From a DraftKings perspective, I think both sides are definitely in play. I'm personally more on the Moicano side. I think he has the takedown upside, submission upside. But Riddell's not a terrible dog on DK. If he wins, I do think it could potentially be by knockout there. Moicano by submission, plus 225. Yeah, it was plus 450 on Bet Online, I think Wednesday night. And I'm like, what's going on? What is going on? Let me see if there's any other. Moicano by sub, plus 290 on, looks like Bet Rivers right now. And then also on Unibet. So there's still some good prices out there for Moicano sub. Moicano, yeah, because RDA was tired from beating the crap out of him. I mean, it was crazy. Moicano by sub, yeah, I'm with you. I like Moicano also. I'm with you there. Moicano by sub. Don't think Riddell has the length to KO him. I'm with you on that sub there. Moicano got robbed by RDA. I mean, I think you might be thinking of a different fight. Might be thinking of a different fight. I mean, that was brutal. That was brutal. So far, not a single fight for a good bet. Well, let me know what you're liking, Sirkin. Let me know what you're liking. Brad KOs him under a minute after that last fight with Moicano. Chin will never be the same. I don't know if you're trolling. Melanie, you like to troll a little bit with these comments, but I actually agree with you. Maybe his chin's not the same because he took a ton of damage. So we'll see. Brad by decision. If it goes to decision, I kind of lean more towards Moicano, but we'll see. Uncle Weezy saying Moicano by sub plus 420 for a quarter unit. Beautiful line there. And then Dev saying Emrod was Rob Brady. That stoppage was pathetic. Yeah, I didn't have a bet on the fight, so I didn't really care too much. But she was rocked, but I thought it could have went on just a little bit more, I guess. But she was done. Wouldn't say robbed. All right. Almost at 300 people. So big show. Appreciate all you guys hanging out. It's a big card. UFC 281, phenomenal card. If you guys have not already, be sure to leave a like. Hopefully, maybe get to 100 likes by the time we get out of here. That'd be much appreciated, guys. And I say we get it to the next fight, and this is the people's main event. The people's main event. My main event, really. We have Dan Hooker going against Claudio Puelles. And I do have a couple bets on this fight. So the first bet is 1 second. Okay. So the first bet I have is on Claudio Puelles by submission at plus 400 on Bet Online. And I posted this on Twitter. And I'm like, if you think that Dan Hooker is washed or he's a bum, then why are you not betting Claudio Puelles by submission at plus 400? That's literally how he wins. So I took a quarter unit shot on that as a hedge. I was fully intending on smashing the Dan Hooker money line here. So I have that, and it's still plus 290 on FanDuel. Like, if you like Claudio Puelles, if you think Dan Hooker is washed, if you think he is a bum, then you bet that line because that's his path to victory. He's not going to go out there and win a decision against Dan Hooker. I just don't. He's not a minute winner. He's not going to go out there and knock out Dan Hooker. Although I've heard some pretty ridiculous takes that Claudio's going to knock out Dan Hooker, and is he going to leg kick him to death? Is he going to body kick? I don't know. Claudio Puelles is not a good striker, but I do like Dan Hooker in this matchup quite a bit. I think it's a horrible matchup for one Claudio Puelles. This fight was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I honestly think Dan Hooker would be minus 1,000. But people think Dan Hooker's a bum. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, but who's he lost against? He stepped in on short notice against Islam Makhachev. Honestly, not a good decision. That was not a good decision for Dan Hooker, and he got subbed in the first round. Then he makes another bad decision, cutting down to 145 for the first time in years to fight Arnold Allen, who is going to fight for a title in the very near future. I thought that was another bad decision for Dan Hooker. But I think Dan Hooker taking this fight against Claudio Puelles was a great decision. Dan Hooker's takedown defense is phenomenal, especially at this weight class. Shout out to Uncle Weezy. He brought up the stat that at lightweight, Dan Hooker's takedown defense is something like 86%, something like that. So it's very good. On top of it, he's not some bum grappler as well. Like, Gruetzemacher's been submitted like 4 times. Clay Guida's been submitted like in the double digits. Dan Hooker's only been submitted once in the UFC, and again, it was by Islam Makhachev in the first round, but I think we could forgive him for that a little bit. So I personally don't think he's washed. I don't think he's a bum, but that's the big narrative this week. People think Dan Hooker is a washed bum, and they really, truly believe that. I don't yet. If Dan Hooker loses this fight, then we can start the whole washed bum bum talk. If Dan Hooker loses this fight, I'll come out and say it. I'll say, Dan Hooker, you're a bum for losing to Claudio Puelles, because this is not a fight you should lose. He's fought great grapplers before. He knocked out Jim Miller in the first round. He knocked out Gilbert Burns in the first round. Like, this is such a terrible matchup for Claudio Puelles. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out just how much of a bum Dan Hooker is. I think even if he is a bum at this point, I think he still should be able to beat Claudio Puelles. So I put 2 units on Dan Hooker, minus 142. He got all the way to like minus 139. So I did a pretty good job at catching the line movement at the right time. And I was fully intending on adding more if the line keeps getting better. So I might add more on Dan Hooker if he gets to like minus 120, minus 130 for some reason. If so, I might add on another unit and a half. If not, I'm fine with my 2-unit play on Dan Hooker. And then I do have that quarter unit hedge on the Claudio Puelles by submission at plus 400. So, yep, we'll have to see. To be honest, guys, I'm very confident in Dan Hooker, but the line, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. It really doesn't. I think Claudio Puelles is submission or bust, more specifically knee bar or bust. And it kind of feels like the Oezdemir Craig fight. Everybody was on Paul Craig. Paul Craig's going to submit Oezdemir. And the line in that fight didn't make sense because Paul Craig's literally submission or bust, and he's good at that. But it's kind of the same thing here, where Puelles is literally submission or bust, and I just really struggle to see him. If he knee bars Dan Hooker, then I will say Dan Hooker's a bum, because that's a horrible look. But we'll have to see. I know a lot of people on Puelles. It should be a fun fight. If I'm wrong about this one, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked. But maybe he is washed. Maybe he is a washed bum. We'll have to see. Do I have a 5-unit play? Not on this card. Nothing really big for me this card. A lot of small plays for me. Puelles has beaten cab drivers, Hooker all day here, probably by KO. Yeah, I mean, it's not impressed with the competition. I mean, Grutzmacher's, like I said, has been submitted like 4 times. Guida's been submitted like 12, like something crazy. Varsity, I'm taking Puelles. Might be that I want him to win, though. I think everybody's rooting for Dan Hooker. I don't know. We'll have to see. Hooker is washed. That's hilarious to me. I mean, he's only 32. He's only 32 years old. I personally think Hooker's shin is sus. I do too, but I mean, he's fighting Claudio Puelles. Hooker's clowning Puelles at the weigh-in. Yeah, I saw that. Can't sleep on Puelles. I guess I am. I think Hooker is still on fire. Prince saying that the Hangman, Puelles is a bum. Dan washes him. Biggest lock of the year. Oh no, that kind of scares me. He's not a lock. Nothing's a lock. Uncle Weezy saying, yeah, I don't understand this line at all. 3 units on Hooker's money line, minus 140, 41. Yeah, Weezy, you're a jerk for that. I got minus 142. Weezy had to one-up me. He had to one-up me and get minus 141. So enjoy that. Enjoy that line. Enjoy it. But yeah, we both missed that minus 139, which was insane. I like Hooker and Riddell's money lines. I love that both. In both cases, you can hedge with Puelles, Moicano sub props. That is true. That's a good way to look at it. And that's kind of what I did, because that's literally the win conditions. Between Uncle Weezy's shaved ass and DFS's washed bum, we have a good running theme here. Absolutely. And that might be a new segment weekly. Is so-and-so a bum? Yes or no? I mean, I like it. I like doing that. Still kind of nervous about this one. Very nervous betting Hooker, but I don't believe he's washed just yet. Yeah, we'll find out if he's washed. If he loses this fight, then yeah, he's washed. That's not true. So many people are on Puelles. I mean, I see people in this chat are on Puelles. And you know people on Puelles because look at this line. I mean, the line is close. What do you think of all the city kickboxing fighters to lose? I'd be shocked if they did. I think they go 3 for 4. 5.8K on Hooker, minus 142. I don't have 5.8K on him, but I have a couple hundred on him. I should have waited for the minus 165. Yeah, he's like minus 150 right now, or actually minus 141. All right, I think I'm all caught up here. I think there's a lot of ass shavings. I think a lot of people are going to get their ass shaved. I think Carla Esparza can get her ass shaved. I think Michael Chandler, I think somebody's getting shaved in the Chandler Poirier fight. I think Claudio Puelles is getting his ass shaved. I think Ryan Span's getting his ass shaved. I think Molly's ass can get shaved here. I think there's going to be some serious ass shavings tomorrow night. Okay. Moving on. We have Chris Gutierrez going against Frankie Edgar. And is Frankie Edgar a bum? Is he a bum? I don't know. But he is 41. He is retiring. And I cannot bet on Frankie Edgar here. I can't do it. I think it's a winnable matchup for him. But I can't do it. I can't put my money on Frankie Edgar. What I can put my money on, though, were these two spots that stuck out throughout the week. And this line was a joke. On Bet Online, they opened up the scorecards equals no action for Chris Gutierrez at minus 210 or minus 200. I missed that, but then it was at minus 210 for like a day and a half. And I put 2.5 units on that. If you guys have like DraftKings, Bet Rivers, FanDuel, or what was the other one? Barstool, they do these finish onlys, right? Or Bet Online. If you can still get it at like minus 250 or better for the scorecards no action, I think that's a great look because some other books are starting to get it like minus 360, and Bet Online started to finally catch on, and that line has been smashed throughout the week. It went from minus 210 to minus 225 to minus 250 to minus 260 to minus 275 to minus 350. So I love that scorecards no action, the finish only for Chris Gutierrez. I think if there's a finish in this fight, it is far more likely that it is Chris Gutierrez getting that finish than Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar has not had a finish win in years. It's been a long time. So I like that. And I have 2.5 units on that. Probably should have went heavier on it. And then I don't mind the split decision. And I know I said I'm going to stop betting these because I'm like 0 for 4 on split decisions. But this one makes a lot of sense, and it's juicy. I got it at plus 550. I think it's down to like plus 500. So money is coming in on the split. And the reason being is we got to remember, guys, it was 2 fights ago. 2 fights ago, Chris Gutierrez went to split decision with Felipe Calorish. The same Felipe Calorish who got dominated by Chase Hooper. And that was 2 fights ago. And he's been to split decisions before. He went to that split decision with Geraldo de Freitas. De Freitas took him down twice. He went to that draw with Cody Durden. Durden, a 125er. That was a bad look. And Gutierrez's takedown defense is solid at 73%, but his get-up game is just non-existent. He's content to just lay on his back. And if Frankie Edgar takes him down, is Chris Gutierrez going to get up? I don't know. I feel like Frankie could win some minutes here, win some rounds. But at the end of the day, I just don't trust the durability. I don't trust the age, 41 years old, bantamweight. I don't like that he's retiring. And, retiring, it never seems to work out. So I can't bet on Frankie, but I like those spots. I like the split, quarter unit shot on that, and I like the finish only for Gutierrez. And I don't completely hate the decision only for Frankie Edgar. I saw it on DraftKings Sportsbook at like plus 165. That eliminates the potential knockout threat from Chris Gutierrez. If it does go to decision, maybe he's able to squeak out some rounds, but I think it's going to be close if it goes to decision. That's why I do like that split. I'm going to pick Edgar for the sake of it, but, it's not something I'm confident in. From a DraftKings perspective, not touching Chris Gutierrez. I don't think he has any takedown upside. I think if there's a finish, it's going to kind of be a attritional damage type thing, late finish. And then Frankie Edgar on DraftKings, that's where I'll get my exposure to him, because if he does win, I expect takedowns, control time, and a decision win for Frankie Edgar. But we will see what happens. Great fight. You can call Frankie Edgar a bum, I suppose, but I mean, this is a winnable matchup for him. Edgar by decision. The Edgar by decision was like plus 1,200. Please define ass shaving in betting context like an inside the distance, like a one-sided fight where somebody's just getting destroyed. I hope Edgar doesn't get hurt for his family. Edgar getting KO'd brutally with leg kicks, maybe. Only thing that worries me is the takedowns. I love the under 1 or 2.5 for the Molly Aaron fight. Yeah, especially after seeing Molly's all cooked up again. And he definitely has taken a lot of damage. That is true. 302 saying Frank Edgar's an absolute legend. Could never call him a bum. I agree. He is tied with Khabib, BJ, and Benson for most lightweight title defenses in UFC history. He's an absolute legend. He is a legend indeed. So hopefully nobody's calling Frank Edgar a bum. Frankie gets the decision. If that could be another thing, we're in New York. That's why I don't hate the split. I mean, it's juicy. Hopefully, I finally hit one. And then VAR saying a finish. Yeah, if there's a finish, I think it's Gutierrez. Edgar, most takedowns in over 5 minutes, even money on DK. So yeah, I haven't done one of those, but what happens if Edgar gets 0 takedowns? It loses, right? But yeah, I like that. Most takedowns, Gutierrez is not taking out Frankie, and I do think it goes over 5 minutes, and that's even money. I think that's a good look. All right. Let us keep moving on here. We have 3 fights to talk about. 3 really good fights here. Starting with Dustin Poirier going against Michael Chandler. And yeah, this is wrong. I'm picking Poirier. I'm not sure why that's bolded there, but I am picking Poirier, and I'm picking Poirier to win inside the. I think somebody gets finished here. I think Michael Chandler is very live in the first round against anybody. This guy is super dangerous. He hits very hard. And is he going to knock out Poirier in the first round? Maybe. And I think if you like Chandler, you might want to bet his first round knockout prop. I think I saw it like plus 800. But, Michael Chandler, he's 36 years old. He's taken a lot of damage. He's been knocked out 4 times. I don't trust his cardio. He's super dangerous early on, but as the fight goes on, he seems to slow down a bit. And, you don't want to slow down against Dustin Poirier. I think Poirier weathers that early storm and just puts it on Chandler in that second and third round. And I'm kind of thinking second round. I think he knocks out Chandler in that second round. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think they're going to stand and bang until one man falls. Michael Chandler should wrestle, but he's not going to. I can tell you right now he's not going to. That's just not been his game in the UFC. Would it be smart? Yes, but it's not something he's going to do. I think we're going to stand and bang. Chandler's going to have maybe some big shots land early, but I think Poirier is tough enough to survive. And then as the fight goes on, I think it heavily favors Dustin Poirier. So this is a fight where I like Poirier to win. I like him to win inside the distance. I like him to finish Michael Chandler in that second or third round. And I did take a half unit shot on Poirier. Didn't want to touch the money line, but considering this fight is minus 240 at the very least to go the distance to end inside the distance, I think Dustin Poirier inside the distance at plus money is a solid look if you are on that Dustin Poirier side. If you're on Chandler, same thing, inside the distance, more specifically the first round. But I like Dustin here. Fight doesn't go minus 250 now, minus 330 on FanDuel. Poirier inside the distance, plus 105, plus 100. I would take that if you like Dustin. I don't think Chandler survives that second or third round. He did against Gaethje, but Gaethje was slowing down. Gaethje was tired. Like, Dustin's not going to slow down. And Dustin has a ton of power. First guy to knock out Conor McGregor. That was very impressive. He dropped Charles Oliveira. He's dangerous. He hits hard, good cardio, but it's that first round that kind of scares me for Dustin Poirier. But I think he should be okay. From a DraftKings perspective, yeah, I don't mind both sides. I think Poirier gets a second round finish, but if Chandler wins, honestly, I think it's in the first round. Don't completely hate violence. Minus 240 fight doesn't go, but I'm more so on the Poirier inside the distance side at that plus money price tag. Dustin's never lost 2 in a row. Yeah, I don't think he loses this one either. That was actually something I was kind of worried about. You think his passion is hot sauce marketing. Until I saw him at the weigh-ins, Dustin Poirier seems to be taking this fight very serious. It looks to be in phenomenal shape. One of the very first fighters to show up today at the weigh-ins. So I don't think I think he's taking this fight very, very seriously, which is good. With you 100% mushroom. Poirier KO round 2. Chandler first round mounted guillotine. Not a completely crazy prediction. Dustin by KO plus 235. That's a great line. The best I see out there is like plus 130, plus 135. I see a plus 160 on Bet Rivers. But yeah, that's a good line if you can get the plus 235 there. Yeah, but Conor was a big favorite in that matchup. That we got to give him some credit. Martin saying, "Hey, bro, I think you haven't looked on consideration that Claudio asked the UFC for Hooker like 10 times. I don't think he would have asked for that fight if he isn't pretty confident he can't beat Hooker. Maybe he does. Maybe we'll see." Gut telling me Chandler. Yeah, that first round is going to be crazy. I like the fight round. Starts round 2 as a parlay piece. Yeah, if you want to get a little sweat going, there you go. If you want to get a sweat going, I think it hits, but at what cost? I mean, minus 250 for that. Scary, but I think it hits. I think it does get to the second round. All right, moving on. We have Zhang Weili going against Carla Esparza. Zhang Weili like minus 325, Carla Esparza plus 275. So I do have a bet on this fight. I took the under 4.5 rounds and I got it at plus 106. And the reason I did that instead of taking Zhang inside the distance was because on Bet Online, for some reason, they had like Zhang Weili inside the distance at like minus 125. So I took the FanDuel under there at plus money. It's still around a pick 'em there. And I think this fight does finish inside the distance. I think Zhang does finish Carla Esparza. If she doesn't, if this fight does go to decision, that probably means Carla Esparza was able to get takedowns here. And if it goes to decision, that probably means Carla won the fight. But I think at some point, whether it's early, whether it's late, whether it's in the middle of the fight, I think this fight is going to be at range on the feed. And on the feed, it's night and day. Zhang Weili is the much better striker by a mile here. Carla needs to get takedowns, and she needs to take down Zhang Weili for 25 minutes consistently. And I don't know. Just seems like a tough task there to do it consistently for 25 minutes, because at some point I feel like this fight is going to be at range, and when it's at range, I think Carla's screwed. So I like the under. If you like Carla, which I know a lot of people that do, take the money line, or I saw the decision only for Carla's like plus 200. I think that'd be a decent way to look at it, because if this fight does go to decision, again, that probably means that Esparza was able to take down and hold down Zhang. So there's that. But yeah, I think Zhang finishes there at some point. Give me the under, cover both sides at the same. I mean, you might as well take the under rather than Zhang Weili inside the distance, because it's like the same price. Anything can happen. Maybe Carla TKOs or gets a sub. Unlikely, but anything can happen. So give me the under in this fight. I'll say Zhang finishes her at some point. Could be early, could be middle of the fight, could be late, but I think she finishes her at some point. Don't mind either side on DraftKings. Like Zhang Weili 9,400. If she wins, I think it's a finish. If Carla Esparza wins at 6,800, I think it's a big score getting takedowns. So we'll have to see. But give me Zhang Weili to get it done. And I have the under bet. Esparza money line plus 275. Too much value. It could be. We'll have to see. We'll have to find out tomorrow. Esparza, bet it. I will not be betting Carla, but if I was to, I would bet the decision only, because I am terrified of Zhang Weili. Carla is a dog, dry humping in full effect. She's going to have to. Like an Esparza there. Mushroom saying Zhang inside the distance. Wendy saying the disrespect. Yeah, that is a pretty disrespectful line for sure. Everyone's on Weili, highest owned on DK2. I don't know. A lot of people are on Esparza. I see a lot of people taking the dog shot, but yeah, Zhang Weili should be pretty popular. I really cannot see Esparza having much success. Maybe she can have a couple takedowns here or there. If Rose can take Zhang down, Carla easily can. One thing I'll say about that is she was probably not expecting Rose to go for takedowns. Zhang, 4th round TKO. Yeah, I think I'm picking like a 3rd, but it could be in any round. Mushroom saying sprinkling the round 3, 4, and 5. There you go. All right. Let's move on to the main event. Israel Adesanya going against Alex Pereira. Money's been pouring in on Adesanya, which kind of surprises me. I thought a lot more people might be on Alex Pereira here, due to the whole narrative of, Pereira's 2-0 and against Adesanya in kickboxing. But no, it's been all Adesanya love, which I get it. Personally, I think Adesanya should win this fight, but I'm not running to the window to lay minus 220, minus 235 on Adesanya when he's going against Pereira, who has a ton of power. Like, Alex Pereira terrifies me, but I do think it's a very good matchup for Adesanya. He's just really going to have to mind his P's and Q's on the feet, and he does. I mean, he's very good at avoiding risks. He's very good at not getting hit cleanly, and I think that's going to be very important here. The bet I took was the fight doesn't go to decision, and I got it at plus 108. I missed out on the under 4.5 at like plus 140. I wish I would have pulled the trigger on that, but I'm taking a half unit shot on the plus money for the fight doesn't go for a couple reasons. I know Adesanya is a decision machine, but I think this matchup is just a little bit different here. The reason being is Alex Pereira has never seen a 4th or 5th round. I think that's huge. If there is a finish in this fight and it's early, I think it's Pereira, but I think Adesanya is kind of sneakily live for a finish in his own right, because I take a look at Pereira and his striking defense is horrible. It's awful. Pereira is content to just plot forward and eat shots. And I know Adesanya doesn't have the most power in the world, but he has some power. Like he knocked out Robert Whittaker in the first fight. He dropped Robert Whittaker in the second fight. He's hurt guys before. He dropped Calvin Gastelum. That guy's next level durable, like 3 times. So, with how hittable Pereira is, I could potentially see an Adesanya finish at some point. So I took the fight doesn't go plus money. That's really my only bet for this fight. I'm not going to lay minus 220 on Adesanya. So that was really the only thing that was sticking out. From a DraftKings perspective, I think it's a very good fight to target. Adesanya, we're typically paying like 91, 92, 9,300 for this guy. At 8,600, I'm fine with playing Adesanya there. Typically, I would be fading him if he's like 9,600, 9,500, 9,400 up there, but he's not. And then Alex Pereira, I think, is a very live dog on DK, just due to the fact that the guy hits like a complete truck. So great fight for DraftKings. Give me violence. Great fight in general, but I do think Adesanya gets it done. But I'm not counting out Alex Pereira. The guy has a ton of power, and it only takes one, and he has 25 minutes to do it. So we'll see what happens. Pereira got the job done twice. Yep, that's the narrative, and that's why I kind of thought that the line would either close or stay the same. But no, money's pouring in on Adesanya. Money's pouring in on Adesanya. Did you change your pick to Chandler? No, I did not. I've been Poirier all week. Pereira, brutal KO. Izzy and Still. I think the earlier rounds are more probable for Weili. I got 1, 2, 3, or I think it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it'd be in any round personally, but I'm picking 3. We got Vince in the chat. What is up, Vince? Izzy by decision here for me. Going to make it boring. I don't think Alex Pereira is going to let it be a boring fight, and that's kind of why I'm leaning the violence. I'm going to be even more bold. Izzy by KO. I don't hate it. Izzy round 3. I'm kind of leaning around 3, 4, 5. Is he horrible on the scales? Yes, he did not look great. I'm not sure what was up with Izzy. Think he might have been. He could have been acting. Izzy bettors are dreaming. Now, I'm not betting Izzy at minus 20. I'll tell you that. But I think he wins. Alex Pereira first round standing rear naked choke. If that happens, I'll PayPal you like $500, dude. Standing rear naked choke for Pereira. So we'll see if that happens. Brady, if Pereira wins by KO, will you do the same face paint he had at the weigh-ins? I feel like that'd be tough to do. First of all, you have to go get the paint, and then you'd have to have somebody to do it. So probably not. I mean, if he gets a first round submission, I'll do it. Appreciate you, Sports Tree. Pereira doesn't move his head or feet much at all. Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Very stiff looking. I think Izzy will, and that's kind of why I'm leaning for the fight doesn't go as well, because, like you said, he's not moving his head. He doesn't move. He's very just walking forward, plotting. Like Izzy's going to be able to pick this guy apart. And then also, yeah, how will his cardio hold up is another question. Aaron or Molly? I'm going Aaron. Inside the distance. What if Pereira gets a take? I'd be shocked if either guy gets a takedown here, but if there's a takedown, it's probably Izzy. Probably Izzy. Izzy earned it getting KO'd. Izzy by unanimous decision will be a fun fight. We will see both fighters damage each other, but Izzy will outclass him. I think he does as well. But you can't count out Alex Pereira. The guy has so much power. And again, it only takes one. And again, he's beat Izzy twice. So, see. You ever find out the best Izzy decision only prop? Yeah, it's like minus 600. It's minus like 500-600 for the Izzy decision only. So that's telling you what they think of the fight. They think if it does go to decision, it is way more likely it's Adesanya. Best parlay pieces for the card. I have one parlay, but it's between this card and next card. I like Jack Della Medellina next week. I like the fight doesn't go in the Ryan Spann fight. I don't hate Blanchfield as a parlay piece, but I wouldn't parlay like a minus 400 women's MMA favorite. We've seen that go to crap before. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not liking parlays on this card. That's why I kind of did it between this card and next card. I don't know. But I like Spann fight doesn't go as a parlay piece. Yeah, great line there. Great line there. I personally am going to be going with both. But if I had to pick one, probably Aaron. But I am going to be looking to get both in there. takedowns tied and over 2.5 minutes is plus 125. So if neither guy gets a takedown and it goes over 2.5 minutes, you win. For the main event, really? Okay. Yeah, it's solid. I mean, I don't think either guy gets a takedown. I know people are thinking Izzy's going to wrestle, but I don't know. He's never done it. Yeah, I don't hate that. All right, I'm going to quickly go over my bets, and then I'll answer any final questions, comments, or concerns you guys have. I do want to remind you guys that tomorrow, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, it's going to be me, Lou Betcha, Sparring with Reality, Luke, and then Eric Bets Fights, Eric, for Best Bet, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 2-hour special. Going to break down all the fights, and I'll stick around for the last 30 minutes or so, answering any final questions, comments, concerns you guys have. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss out on that. But my 2 straight bets, Dan Hooker, a washed bum, potentially. We'll see. 2 units, minus 142. Wellington Turman, another fighter people think is a bum, plus 180, half a unit. We'll see how those play out. But you got tons of props here. We have Esparza, Zhang Li under 4.5, half a unit, plus 106. Adesanya Pereira fight doesn't go to decision, half a unit, plus 108. Molly McCann, Aaron Blanchfield fight doesn't go to decision, half a unit, plus 140. Chris Gutierrez scorecards equals no action, finish only, minus 210, 2.5 units. Riddell Moicano fight doesn't go to decision, 1 unit, minus 120. Quarter unit on Moicano sub, plus 450. Quarter unit on Riddell KO, plus 350. Looking for some violence in that fight. My only parlay of the night is Dominic Reyes, Ryan Spann. Fight doesn't go to decision. Parlayed with Jack Della Maddalena. That is next week against Danny Roberts. That came out to minus 150, 1.5 units. Dustin Poirier wins inside the distance, half a unit, plus 115. Claudio Puelles by sub, plus 400. Quarter unit, little hedge there. And if it's still on FanDuel Sportsbook, like plus 290, which I think if you like Puelles, you should be smashing that line. Other than that, Edgar Gutierrez, someone wins by split or majority decision, plus 550, hoping to finally hit a split. And then Silvagana Gomez Juarez wins by KO, quarter unit, plus 340. You know, she has those cannons in her fists. And then Zaitar wins in the first round, plus 335, a quarter unit on that as well. That's my action 15 bets. A lot of sprinkles, not too many big play. My biggest play is that Gutierrez finish only, and Dan Hooker like 2 units. But yeah, lots of prop sprinkles, lots of props sticking out for sure. All right, see what you guys have in the chat. Most confident bets, probably Dan Hooker. And like I said, that Gutierrez finish only. Those are my 2 biggest ones. Other than that, it's just a bunch of sprinkles plus money. Dustin, Chandler, fight doesn't go. I like it. Frank, Chris, over 1.5. I like it. Spam Reyes, fight doesn't go. I like it. Zhang money line. I don't hate it. Yeah, I think it hits. Brady got to make me a mod. I have a couple mods. I don't know if they're here tonight. So, but yeah, guys, I'm gonna head out. Best of luck. UFC 281. Enjoy the card. It's a phenomenal card. Let's make some money. Like, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter. DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. Hit me up if you have any questions. I should be able to be pretty active tomorrow on social media. I have nothing really going on. But yeah, guys, best of luck. Let's make some money, and we'll talk to you very soon. See you guys.